Have you ever wondered where the world's wealthiest disappear to when the headlines start screaming about a global collapse? While the stock markets tremble and inflation strangulates the middle class, the elite are no longer shopping for penthouses in New York or villas in Monaco. They are executing something far more calculated, something known in the shadows as the Bolthole Protocol. 2026 is not just another year on the calendar. For the billionaire class, it is the X date. The global liquidity crisis we see unfolding today isn't an accident, it's a catalyst. While the world is distracted by street protests and crumbling tax systems, the top 0.01% have already checked out. But they aren't just buying farmland in New Zealand anymore. That strategy is obsolete. That was for the millionaires. The billionaires, they've moved on to something much more extreme. Today, their bunkers are no longer just physical shelters from civil unrest. They are building what insiders call digital citadels. These are high-tech fortresses entirely detached from the dying Western financial grid. In these hidden sanctuaries, the laws of nations no longer apply. Here, sovereignty isn't defined by a flag or a constitution. It is defined by the depth of your server farms and the weight of the physical gold stored 10 meters beneath reinforced concrete. Here is the secret they don't want you to find in the public record. These elites aren't just buying land. They are purchasing diplomatic immunity licenses from microstates, effectively turning their private bunkers into legally recognized foreign soil. Welcome to the Billionaire Archive. Today, we are declassifying the most extreme exit strategy in human history. We are going in a deep dive where the law cannot reach them and taxes cannot follow. This is the reality of the Bolthole Protocol. In the world of the ultra-high net worth, ownership is an illusion. Most people think buying land is the ultimate security, but the 0.01% know better. In a true global crisis, a deed to a house is just a piece of paper that a desperate government can seize with a single decree. To truly disappear, you don't just need a bunker. You need a sovereign hack. You need to stop being a citizen and start being a state. This is where the diplomatic immunity license comes in. For the past few years, top-tier billionaires have been quietly negotiating with cash-strapped microstates. We aren't just talking about golden visas or buying a second passport. We are talking about something far more obscure. By providing massive infrastructure grants to tiny nations, billionaires are being appointed as honorary consuls or special envoys. This isn't for the title, it's for the legal shield. Under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, the premises of a diplomatic mission are inviolable. By designating their private bunkers as consular outposts of these microstates, billionaires are effectively turning their basements into foreign soil. If the local police or tax authorities knock on the door, they aren't just hitting a reinforced steel gate, they are hitting a sovereign border. Within these zones, the host country's laws and their taxes simply cease to exist. It is the ultimate legal loophole. While the rest of the world prepares for a 2026 where the taxman takes everything to pay off national debts, the elite have already seceded. Their bunkers are now embassies, their wealth is now diplomatic cargo, and their presence legally invisible. But as the 2026 liquidity crisis nears, the protocol is shifting from legal protection to something much more physical. When the 2026 liquidity crisis hits, the first thing to vanish won't be money, it will be trust. The ultra-elite have known this for decades. That's why the Bolthole Protocol isn't just about hiding people. It's about decoupling wealth from the grid. In these sovereign bunkers, the digital and the physical collide. We are seeing the rise of digital citadels, autonomous fortresses where the world's most valuable assets are being re-HOM'd. The first pillar of the citadel is physical gold. Not paper gold, not ETFs, but raw, high-purity bullion. Billionaires are moving massive quantities of gold into these diplomatic zones because, in a collapsing economy, gold is the only currency that doesn't require a government's permission to exist. But gold is heavy. It's hard to move. That's where the second pillar comes in. Private server farms. These aren't your average data centers. These are sovereign server farms, running on independent power grids, often geothermal or small modular nuclear reactors. Why? Because in 2026, the internet as we know it will become a battlefield of censorship and tax surveillance. By hosting their own encrypted blockchains and AI clusters within these sovereign zones, the 0.01% can execute billion-dollar transactions outside the reach of the IMF, the IRS, or any central bank. They are building a parallel civilization, a world where their wealth is stored in 24-karat bars and encrypted bits, invisible to the collapsing tax systems of the West. It is a total detachment from the global liquidity wall of 2026. But what happens when the doors finally close? Who gets to stay inside? And what happens to the world left behind? That is where the protocol gets truly chilling. When the 2026 liquidity crisis finally breaks the back of the global banking system, it won't be a quiet event. It will be loud. It will be chaotic. While the public is told to stay calm and wait for a government bailout that is never coming, the 0.01% will be executing their physical extraction. This is the most dangerous phase of the Bolthole Protocol, because in a world of civil unrest, the greatest threat to a billionaire isn't a falling stock price, it is the reach of the desperate masses. For the ultra-high net worth, the exit is already choreographed. They have spent millions on private military contractors, former Tier 1 special forces whose only job is to ensure their client reaches the Bolthole. These aren't bodyguards, they are extraction specialists. They operate via ghost flights, private jets that fly without transponders, landing at secondary airports, or private strips that don't appear on standard flight trackers. By the time the news reports on the first bank closures, the elites will already be at 30,000 feet, crossing into sovereign airspace. The protocol relies on speed and invisibility. Some use dark ports, private docks located in international waters, where they transfer from yachts to high-speed submersibles. Others utilize the consular loophole we discussed, flying under diplomatic cover that prevents any local authority from searching their cargo. As the 2026 crisis triggers a freeze on all international wire transfers, these individuals are already settling into their citadels, surrounded by enough resources to outlast a decade of global instability. The doors are shut. The signals are cut. The 0.01% have successfully seceded from the rest of humanity. But a bunker, no matter how luxurious, is still a prison if you can never leave. And that brings us to the final, most chilling question. What happens to the world they left behind? And what is the ultimate price of the Bolthole Protocol? As the heavy steel doors of the Bolthole seal shut, a new reality begins. For those inside, the 2026 crisis is merely a storm viewed through a reinforced window. But for the rest of the world, it is the end of an era. The Bolthole Protocol isn't just about survival, it is about the final privatization of sovereignty. When the dust settles, the maps we knew may no longer matter. Power will no longer reside in capitals like Washington, London, or Beijing. It will reside in these decentralized citadels. This is the ultimate price of the wealth gap. We are witnessing the birth of a two-tier humanity. One tier is bound by national debts, collapsing currencies, and the laws of failing states. The other tier, the 001, has effectively seceded from the human contract. They have their own laws, their own money, and their own borders. They aren't just escaping the crisis, they are waiting for the world to be repriced so they can emerge and buy what is left for pennies on the dollar. The question isn't whether you can afford a bunker. Most of us can't. The real question is, what happens to a society when its most successful members no longer feel they belong to it? When the exit strategy becomes more profitable than the social contract, the foundation of our world begins to crumble. The Bolthole Protocol is the final chapter of a story that started with tax havens and ended with private nations. This is the reality of the 0.01% in 2026. If you found this declassification valuable, make sure to like this video and join our community. Because in a world of hidden agendas, information is the only asset that can't be locked in a vault. What would you do if you had the keys to the Bolthole? Let us know in the comments below. This is the Billionaire Archive. We'll see you in the next deep dive.